Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video we will talk about HTTP. I will explain what is it, what is request and response, what HTTP codes we have, what is the HTTP statuses and many more. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave some comments in the comment section below. It would really support me and help me to continue with videos like this one. So what is HTTP? HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It is the foundation of the World Wide Web, and it's used to load web pages using hypertext links. A typical flow over HTTP involves a client machine making a request to a server, which then sends a response message. So basically, it is the way computers communicate with each other, if to simplify. Of course, there is some more steps between your computer and server, but basically the idea is that. So for example, as soon as you open your web browser to check this video, you are indirectly using HTTP. You're sending a request to get the video from server, and in response you have the YouTube page loaded in your browser with all of the information. So for example, I opened this video that I made previously, and I just sent the HTTP request to a server, and server returned me the result with this video. But correctly to say, you are sending many requests to load all of the information needed for this page to load. So it's not just one, but many requests. Let's check it in developer tool in Chrome. So I will just open the development tool here in Chrome. I will just press inspect, and then I will use network. And for example, I will just reload this page. And you will see how many, this is everything that you see here is the request that is sent. So you will see how many requests is sent to load all of this data. So for example, we have sent this request, this, and etc. So all of these requests are sent to the server, and responses from the servers I get here accordingly to all of the requests. Through the HTTP protocol, resources are exchanged between client device and server over the internet. Client device sends request to a server for the resources needed to load the web page. The server sends response back to the client to fulfill the request. Requests and responses share sub-documents such as data on images, text layouts, and etc., which are pieced together by a client web browser to display the full page file. So all of these responses pieced together, and in the result we have this page. Browser made us this page. So what is HTTP request and response? So each interaction between the client and server is called a message. HTTP message are request or response. Client device submit HTTP request to server, which reply by sending HTTP response back to the client. So you sending the request to server when you just going to some web page and etc. Then server reply to you with HTTP response, and in the result you have all of the information. So let's talk more about request firstly. What is HTTP request? This is when a client device, such as internet browser, asks the server for the information needed to load the website. The request provides the server with the desired information it needs to tailor its response to the client device. Each HTTP request contains encoded data with information such as the specific version of HTTP followed. So we will see this is HTTP. There is HTTP 1 and HTTP 2. There is the two versions that we are using at the moment. So with the request, we're sending this HTTP version. Then a URL. So we have the request URL here. You see YouTube and etc. Then HTTP method. We have, and here is get. I will talk about methods a little bit later, more in details. Then HTTP request headers. So here we have general headers, and here we have some request headers. There is a lot of them, like authority, method, pass, and etc. So this could contain data such as what type of browser is being used, what data is request is seeking from the server. It can also include cookies, which show information previously sent from server handling the request. And then we're sending HTTP body. This is optional information the server needs from the request, such as user form, username, password, logins, short response, or file uploads, and that are being submitted by website. So for example, when you're trying to log in, you're just sending together with the response in the body information about your login and password. So we send it to the server checks whether it's correct. If it's correct, then it's returned with the response and login you to the page, for example. Or if there is an error, it returns an error. So now let's talk about response. What is HTTP response? The HTTP response message is the data received by a client device from the web server. As its name suggests, the response is the server's reply to an HTTP request. The information contained in an HTTP response is tailored to the context the server received from the request. HTTP response typically include the following data: HTTP status code, which indicates the status of the request to the client device. The responses may include success, an informational response, redirect, error, or on the server or on the client side. We will talk more about status codes a bit later. Then, for the response, we also have HTTP response headers, which send information about the server and request resources, and also a body, which is also optional. If a request is successful, this contains the requested data in the form of HTML code, which is translated into web page by the client browser. So let's talk about HTTP method, what it is. An HTTP method, sometimes referred to as an HTTP verb, indicates the action that the HTTP request expects from the queried server. For example, the most used method is get, post, put, delete, and patch. I will talk about them in details, but you should know that there is also others like connect, option, trace, and head that I will not talk about them at the moment. I will just talk about the ones that used mostly. So get. What is get? The get method request is the representation of the specific resource. So request using get should only retrieve data. So for example, we send the get request to get this video. Post, it's the post method submits an entity to the specific resource, often cause a change in a state or side effects on the server. So for example, when we're trying to register you to some website, we're sending the post request because we're sending the information that we'll save in our database and we'll need some modification on the server. So usually for that we use post. Then put, the put method replaces all current representation of the target resource with the requested payload. So for example, if you try to edit your profile fully, for example, so we could use for that put method. It will change everything in the database fully. Then we have the delete method. The delete method deletes the specific resource. So for example, if you're trying to delete your account, you're sending the delete method to the server and we update the database and your account would be deleted. And the last one that I will show is patch. The patch method applies partially modification to the resource. So for example, you have your profile and you want to change just name and leave a surname. So we could use for that a patch. So you would just change the name, but not the surname. So just some of the information. So it's just the basic examples. It doesn't mean that you have to use them as I just showed. It's just a basic example how we can use them. So let's talk about the HTTP status codes. In response to HTTP requests, servers often issue response codes, including the request is being processed, there was an error in the request, or that request is being redirected. Common response codes included. So we can even check some. You see 302, then which is redirected, then 200, which is okay. So let me just go through them, through common response codes. So first one is 200, and every one that starts from 2, like 201, 202, and etc. Basically, it means success. So this means that the requests such as get or post work as it's being acted upon. So everything is fine. 300 is redirected. So we just saw here, we got 300 or 02. So everything that is from 300, it means that there was some movement, some change. So this response code means that the URL of the requested resource has been changed and we go to another page or etc. Then, for example, 400, everything that is starting from 4 means that there is the client error. So, for example, we have 401, which is mean that you are unauthorized. So the client or user making the request to the server, but has not been authenticated yet. Or, for example, 403, which is forbidden. So the client's identifier is known, but has not been given access to authorization. So it is mean that you don't have an access to view this page, for example. Then I'm sure that you saw this one for sure. It's 404, which means not found. This is the most frequent error code. It means that the URL is not recognized of the resource and the location does not exist. So for example, if you try to check the page that is not exist on the server, it will give you the result 404. And then all of the statuses that's starting from 5, for example 500, it means the server error. So the server encountered the situation that it doesn't know how to handle. So for example, the database is not working, or there is some error in the server, the server has been shut down or etc., or there is a timeout, so the request is taking too long time to proceed and etc. This is about code. So just remember, 2, everything that started from 2 is fine, 3 is redirected, 4 is the client error, 5 is the server error. And the last thing that we will talk about, HTTP versus HTTPS. So HTTPS is the use of secure sockets layer, SSL, or transport layer security, TLS, as a sublayer under regular HTTP application layering. HTTPS encrypts and decrypts user HTTP page requests, as well as the page that are returned by the web server. It also protects against eavesdropping and man-in-the-middle attacks. So HTTPS is just a more secured way to for computers to communicate. So usually it's the standard now. So when you will work and when you will try to publish something, it's better to use HTTPS, of course. So that is all for today. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments, leave your questions. I would definitely answer them all. I wish you to have a great day. Thanks for watching, and remember, knowledge is our superpower.